Hello, and happy Thursday, community. Welcome to another community event live stream. Welcome to the Bullrun ecosystem. I hope everybody is having a fantastic week so far. And as always, we are so excited and looking forward to these community streams. Sorry for the 5-minute delay, but we're here now, ready to go. We have a great topic today. We have a lot to share with you today. Like you say, these events are always to inform, educate, and inspire us as a community, because we believe that education is power, and it is the way to really bring crypto, the blockchain technology, mainstream, and it also serves as a guidance. It also serves as to give us assurance, confidence in what we do, what we have, and to really understand the industry on a much broader scale. And once we do that, we will really appreciate what we have. So once more, welcome, happy Thursday, everyone that is still tuning in. Very excited for today. We have a lot to share with you today. And as you saw, the thumbnail already gave it away. The topic is Crisis Gives Birth to a Solution. So we are going to look at, as always, first of all, we're going to zoom out, look at the crisis on a broader scale. And then once we understand that, where we stand, we'll zoom back in and then really look into details on the solutions that our ecosystem present. And then we'll go beyond that, come right back to you full circle, and check with you if you have any follow-up questions, and then we'll close out our beautiful Thursday like that. Once more, very excited having you all here. As usual, I'll come to you first, greet you, acknowledge you, check with you who's here. And then once we've done that, we'll jump right back into the topic of today. Like I said, topic is Crisis Gives Birth to a Solution. And looking forward for that. With that said, let's come to you, community. Let's acknowledge you. Let's see who all is here today, who was able to make it. My great brother Demo. How you doing, my brother? I owe you that phone call. We have to have this discussion, you and my great brother Glenn. I'll get back to you still, as I promised. My brother Demo says, good day, my brother Steve. Let's go, Bullrun Live community. I'm ready for another great session. So are we, my great brother Demo. Nice having you here always. Your commitment and your inputs for the community is always greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. We have Queen Fortunate here as well. Always a pleasure having Survivor community here with us as well. Bullrun women as well. So it's beautiful having you all here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for being here, Queen Fortunate. She says, good evening, Bullrun Live community. Happy to meet again. Priceless moments with our dev. Thank you, Steve. The pleasure is ours, Queen Fortunate. Thank you for being here. It's always a pleasure having you here. Women for Bullrun. Hello, Bullrunners. Happy Thursday. We care. We are in the right place. Bullrun is the future of crypto. Absolutely, Val. Absolutely. Very well said. Nice having you here as well with us in the community. We have Queen Mutakwa. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. Steve. Good evening back to you. Nice having you here as well, Queen Mutakwa. Thank you for being here. Queen Sharon, greetings, Bullrun Life family, ready to learn, grateful for the opportunity. It's always a pleasure seeing you, having you with us, Queen Sharon. Nice having you here. Queen Kina, hello everyone. Hello back to you as well. Nice having you here as well. Beautiful seeing you here. And we have Queen Martha. Nice having you here as well. Good evening, Bullrun family. Let's go. Absolutely. That's what we are about to do once we're done greeting and appreciating everyone. Queen Kosi, good evening, family. Expecting an interesting educational session. Beautiful, beautiful. Nice having you all here. It's a pleasure having you here, Queen Kosi. Brother Cryptorizer, nice having you here as well. Happy New Year to everyone. Let's make this year the best one yet. Thank you, Steve, for another informative YouTube today. God bless us all. Very beautiful words. Thank you very much for your kind words. Same to you. Nice being here as well. Happy New Year to you as well, my brother. Queen Chantel, good evening, Bullrun Live community. I'm happy to be here, to be inspired. Thank you, brother Steve. Absolutely, Queen Chantel. It's a pleasure having you here too. It's really a pleasure. Newton, call you New. Nice, welcome to the community. It's nice having you here as well. We have Crypto Scales. It's a pleasure. Greetings back to you as well. Nancy, how you doing, Nancy? Great having you here as well. Hello and happy Thursday, BRL community. I'm looking forward to an epic YouTube session. So are we, and it really looks fantastic, looks epic with all these comments so far. Mom, happy New Year community. I am glad to be here. Thanks, Steve, for another exciting moment we have been looking forward to. So am I. I've been really looking forward to this. Pleasure having you here. Thank you for your support and for your warm words. Cryptorize again, happy New Year to everyone. Let's make this count. We read this before. Yes, thank you very much again. Bullrun for life. Crypto Mindstein says. Oh, okay. So new to, I see you. Thanks for joining us. We have a new member. Great to have you here with us. It's a pleasure having you here. Welcome to the community, Newton, New Tech. My great brother Theo is here as well. Hello, everyone. Can't wait to get started. Let's go. Welcome, brother Theo. It's a pleasure having you here as always. We wouldn't have started without you. We would have been waiting for you to come and show up. Thank you for gracing us with your presence. It's a pleasure having you here, my brother. Big Ty says, what's up? And my brother investor Tusek says, good evening, everyone on this live stream. I'm happy to be here early today. Today's class, always. Thank you, Mr. Steve. Thank you also, investor Tusek. It's a pleasure having you in the community. With that said, thank you very much for all of you. You are all welcome to today's stream. We'll get right to the topics today as we have a lot to cover. So bear with me as I'm sharing the screen. There we go. Again, today's topic, the thumbnail gave it away. It's all about talking about how the crisis gives birth to a solution. There's a saying that goes, never waste a crisis, because it's the crisis that really matter. And if you can take advantage of them, you'll be very successful. We saw all that in this different financial crisis that we faced in the history of finance, from 2000, the internet bubble, all the way to 2008, the subprime mortgage housing bubble. And even after the pandemic in 2020, we saw how that crisis also paid off handsomely and led to the largest bull run yet. So crises are always the birthplace for success. And if you play your hands right, if you really move strategically, you can really make differences, major differences. So this topic today is very important. Like I said, I'm going to zoom out and look at the broader picture, look at the industry, look at the crisis we are facing within the industry, and then zoom back in and look at the solutions that we have as an ecosystem and what we are all about. We always love to use these platforms to just, like I said, to introduce blockchain technology and crypto newcomers to the industry, and also talk about the markets, the industry, and then zoom in and talk about our ecosystem, because it's really complex and it really addresses many challenges, many crises that we are facing within the industry. And this is what this video will be all about, and all that will be captured today. So let's get this going. Today, as we see, we all know coin market cap. We can come here and see that the market is up 2.5% for the last 24 hours. As you saw, the last video we made, we were down 2 digits. This is the market. It's all about greed and fear. That's how the market is driven. But we are very excited that Bitcoin is back up to 44,000. Ethereum is steady, still at right above 2,200, but still in the 2,200s. And so this is good to see. It's really good to see. Now, with that said, let's get to the topic. I always like us to look at the broader picture, look at the entire industry as a whole first, so that we can really appreciate what we have. We can really understand the bigger picture. First of all, let's look ahead of this year. 2024 is a year where so many things are coming together at once. And these are all catalysts, and they all work together for our benefits. So you need to ask yourself this question. Are you within the right ecosystem? Are you within the right community that is ready to really take full advantage of this? Let's take a step ahead, and then we'll come right back to this question. Let's look together at what's awaiting us. So in this year, the long-awaited Bitcoin halving is ahead of us, okay? And what Bitcoin halving is basically is we need to understand that Bitcoin is inflationary. Many people don't understand that or don't know that Bitcoin is inflationary. So every 4 years, the inflation gets cut in half. That's the simplest way to explain what Bitcoin halving is. That event is so massive that it causes it's one of the triggers. It's one of the catalysts that really causes and triggers the bull run to really follow through. But because the crypto cycles are so heavily tied to the real financial market, it goes really hand in hand. And this 4-year cycles is very important to understand that, first of all, in the crypto space, there are 4-year cycles. And this is a boom and bust cycles, a bear and a bull market. We just had 2 years of winter right now, and we are finally into the year where everything is falling in place, falling in line. And one of those catalysts is the Bitcoin halving. And like we suggested, the inflation of Bitcoin is being cut in half, and this triggers if everything remains the same as long as demand remains the same. And since the inflation is cut in half, this causes a price squeeze, and this usually triggers the price of Bitcoin to go up. So this is one of the anticipated catalysts this year in 2024 that we can really look forward to, and is one of the catalysts that will take us forward and take us to the promised land where we need to be. The next one is, of course, the monetary pivot in 2024. What is this exactly? I always like to use the most simplest terms to really explain this. So in the simplest terms is that the tightening campaign is over now, and the traders are projecting that the interest rates will be aggressively cut in 2024. So as we know, the interest rates are above 5.5% right now, and the governments, the feds, decided that this year, 2024, they will be cutting the interest rates aggressively 2 to 3 times this year alone. So as we know, basic economics, if you cut the interest rates, basically that means money becomes cheaper. And when that happens, banks are more willing to let go of the funds and distribute money within the economy. And that also means that the money printer of the feds will be turned on. And that's how the monetary fiat system currently works. To jumpstart the economy, usually what happens, you lower the interest rates. Once that happens, you increase your debt ceiling, and then you turn on the money printer and you flood funds through the banks into the economy. And what usually happens is that because the crypto space is the most lucrative asset class in the space, and due to that, usually when money is in abundance, everyone runs towards the crypto space because it's the most lucrative industry right now. It beats commodities, forex, any stocks. It's only the only the only profitable thing after cryptocurrency, of course, is the Nasdaq, the tech industry, and but anything else is not even anywhere close to it. So this is another great catalyst that we can look forward to. The interests are being cut, and there'll be multiple of that in 2024. Now, what's next? Of course, 2024, according to Forbes, will be the biggest election year in history, and this is another thing. Of course, election years are key. This is where things this is where they call it lobbying, but in any other country it's called bribery. But let's stick with lobbying. So there'll be a lot of lobbying going on, and this is where these big heavyweights such as BlackRock, of course, and other bankers and large institutions can lobby their way into regulators, into politicians, and have them shifted so that they can fulfill their agendas. So this is election years are always very profitable years. If we go back and look back in history, election years are always the most profitable years because this is where the politicians wants to make a point. They want to be re-elected or elected, and they want to make sure that the economy is booming, and this is how you get elected. And so having election year in 2024 is something that is also very, very it serves as a catalyst for us that we can really look forward. And this is another pro for us, great point for us. And of course, ETFs, this is the topic every single day since June, when BlackRock finally decided to also get on board on Bitcoin ETF in the race. And since then, Bitcoin price has been just exploding in anticipation. So of course, the ETF approvals, this is another thing. And now new in the race is Goldman Sachs. They also want to be part of this. So far, the only bank has been JP Morgan, surprisingly, noting that Jamie Dimon, who is actually so against crypto and Bitcoin, all of a sudden he's in charge and at the gates of liquidity as far as for Bitcoin is concerned. So you see Goldman Sachs is the next large bank that is also in the race. They want to be also authorized participants for BlackRock and Grayscale. These are the two largest Bitcoin ETFs that will be available on the market. So in summary, you see all these great catalysts that are awaiting us. The Bitcoin halving is ahead of us. Interest rates cuts are ahead of us. The biggest election year is ahead of us. We see how ETF approvals are ahead of us, and we have one more, and this is the tokenization of asset classes. This is now where we're talking about Apples and Googles and Microsofts and all other institutions are gearing, and industries, they are gearing to come on board and be using the blockchain technology. They want to use the existing infrastructures and to bring them on board to be on blockchain. Tokenization makes things so much easier. It's more efficient. It's borderless, timeless. You don't have to stick to the office hours, 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, or holidays. And this will bring a lot of volume and revenue also to this existing mainstream institutions that are well established already. So as we see, there's a lot of volume, a lot of liquidity that is about to enter this space. There's a lot of catalysts that we can anticipate. And back to the initial question before we looked at these catalysts, is your ecosystem ready? Is it built from day one to handle this volume, to handle this liquidity? Will it be able to retain it? Will it be able to take full advantage of it? And this is what we're about to look at in this video. This was just a highlight to just look at what we are what we are right now, what we're looking at right now, and what we're expecting, the expectation 2024. Let's make this year count. It's the year where everything falls in line, as we saw with all these catalysts. Now, with this said, let's look at the crisis. Again, the topic is crisis gives birth to solution. It's time to look at the crisis that we're facing within our industry, because only when we understand what the crises are, we can really appreciate, zoom back in, and then appreciate what we have as solutions. So let's kickstart this. What are the crises right now in this industry? The regulations are the next thing. This year will be the year of regulations, and a lot of regulations are about to come in. So one of the regulators is the Monetary Authority of Singapore. They clearly mention here that cryptocurrencies have failed the test of being digital money due to lack of not being medium of exchange and not being a store of value. Now, with time, for those that have been around by now, understand what a medium of exchange is and a store of value. However, for those that are new, and we've been receiving a lot of new members within our ecosystem, within our community, so it's important for me to reiterate and to really break down in the simplest forms what this means. And you'll understand what a medium of exchange is and a store of value is. You will understand this as we are going through this crisis. It's time to mention the crisis. The first crisis is, and these are the crises that are not addressed. That's why the cryptocurrencies failed the test of being digital money, because they don't meet the requirements, or they don't have the futures of being a medium of exchange or a store of value. So now, with that said, let's look at the specific crisis that we have. The first crisis that we're facing is the liquidity crisis. That's the biggest crisis that we're having right now. It's a liquidity crisis. And of course, we're not picking on our largest cryptocurrency, but it's just because it holds, as we see here, Bitcoin alone has 51.4%. So over half, more than half of the total market cap of the entire industry is held by Bitcoin. So this is why we're picking Bitcoin, because obviously whatever Bitcoin does, that's how the market moves. So if Bitcoin is facing liquidity crisis, that doesn't mean that it's a Bitcoin issue, but it's an industry issue. So the first crisis is liquidity crisis that we're facing. And this is a crisis that people don't like to, or mainstream don't like to really highlight and talk about, because like we said, these markets are heavily geared and moved by fear and greed. So these things are not really often talked about. But because our ecosystem is all about informing, educating, and inspiring, we want to really look at the crisis that the market is facing, and we want to see the challenges that are in the market, and then we want to also zoom back in, see how we have the solutions to these challenges and how we're addressing these crises. So the number one is liquidity crisis. And that's very important to understand. And this is unfortunately something that many don't understand and really don't have in mind. Liquidity is the bloodline for any industry. And it's important to have deep liquidity, because it addresses the issues that the regulators are saying. In order to address the medium of exchange, to be a medium of exchange, you need to be liquid. You need to have enough liquidity. Right now, the only cryptocurrencies that meet that criteria are stable coins. Stable coins are the future and are the foundation and have the most use cases so far in the crypto space, simply because they are liquid. They're extremely liquid, and this is very important. So to be considered a medium of exchange, you need to have stability, and stability comes with deep liquidity. So keep that in mind. Like we said, the second challenge is inflation. Inflation is horrible. Inflation, as we see, and we will go through this individually. We will pick one or two to just keep it with the time. We don't want to go overboard, but we just will pick one or two to make a point. So inflation is the second thing. Inflation of tokens. That's another thing that is a challenge, is a crisis in this space. And lastly, it is inefficiency. So you don't use the volume efficiently. Remember, before, when we started, we looked at the catalysts that are about to come. These are all catalysts that bring two things with them: volume and liquidity. And the question is your ecosystem built to retain liquidity, to maximize, take advantage of the volume? As we go through this session today, ask yourself that question and check with yourself whether your ecosystem does that. So like we said, the second one is inflation, and finally the third one is inefficiency of the use of volume. And finally, the fourth one is sustainability. So of course, if you're not liquid, if you're not retaining liquidity, if you're not deflationary, let alone scarce, and if you're not taking advantage of the volume, if you're inefficient with it, of course you're not going to be sustainable. So let's start from the beginning. Let's go back to the illiquid part. Why is liquidity so important, and why are we picking on Bitcoin? Well, it's easy to just read an article, but now let's go into details. So as we speak right now, Bitcoin is at 44,000, as we know, and it has a liquidity of 931,000. There is something called a liquidity to market cap ratio. This is the easiest way you can calculate and find out how liquid a project is. Why is liquidity important? As an investor, before you get involved with an asset, these are the basic things that you should look at. Because before you invest your money into a project, you need to look at the liquidity to market cap ratio to have an idea what's the probability of you getting that money back, or being able to get the funds out of it. And another thing, of course, also is to understand, to bring stability, you need to have deep liquidity, like we saw. So if you calculate this, it's very straightforward. You take the liquidity, which is 935 million, and if you divide this by the market cap, which is 865 billion, you get a number, and that number is usually between 0 and 100. And the way it works is the closer it is to 100, the more liquid it is, and the closer it is to 0, the more illiquid it is. This is very important to understand. 931 million divided by 865. So the closer it is to a 0, the illiquid it is. The closer it is to 100, the more liquid it is. Basically, picture this. If you go to your bank and you deposit $500, and you want to ensure that the bank has enough reserves in there, that next time when you come and you're ready to withdraw your funds, there'll be enough funds there. Because as we know, banks have fractional reserves. So that means if multiple people at the same time try to withdraw their funds, banks don't have the capacity for you to give you your funds back. So picture it like that. Liquidity is like that. So whenever you want to exit your position, you want to withdraw your funds, it's important that liquidity is there. Else, if too many people at the same time try to withdraw their funds, it will go to 0, and only the first ones that withdraw the funds will have the funds. The remaining ones will be left holding useless tokens. So that's the simplest form to explain the importance of liquidity. So again, if you do this calculation, you get a number between 0 and 100. And the closer it is to 0, that means it's illiquid. It's a danger. It's horrible. The closer it is to 100, that means it's very liquid. It's close to being a stable coin. So as we see, the largest cryptocurrency is at 0.1 right now. It's pathetic. It has the worst liquidity to market cap ratio. This is horrible. And this just shows you how this is what these articles are talking about, the illiquidity of Bitcoin. And this is also the reason why these large institutions, when you hear that BlackRock purchased, or MicroStrategy purchased 600 million worth of Bitcoin, it's definitely not through the centralized exchanges. They're all purchased through over the counter, where their market is more liquid. So they're not gaining. This is why you don't see the price movements going when these large institutions are purchasing hundreds of millions worth of Bitcoin, because the market is just too illiquid, and it's a danger. So any purchase can make the prices go either way, up or down, in a negative way. So this is just to highlight the lack of liquidity with the largest cryptocurrency, Bitcoin. And of course, we are not singling out Bitcoin. This just shows that if Bitcoin is suffering from liquidity crisis, everybody else is suffering. And this is just to point out the first crisis, and this is liquidity. It's important to understand this. And of course, things change. We don't really know who owns which wallets, and so on and so forth. There are already Bitcoin billionaires around here. There are really wealthy Bitcoin holders, okay? Those with 78 of them that are holding Bitcoin, who have 100 million and above. So we see that once they want to refocus their assets somewhere else, this can be a danger. If there's a run on the bank, like I just described earlier, only those that make the fast moves, maybe the first 10, 12 millionaires or centenaires, will be able to withdraw. The rest will just be holding worthless tokens. That's the importance of liquidity. That's just to point out the importance of liquidity. Let's move on to the second one, inflation. So if we look at inflation, this is the second crisis. Tokens are very inflationary. Usually, if you look at these top 10 tokens, these are blue chip tokens. These are the most used applications on Ethereum. Lido, you can stake your ETH. If you have ETH, you can come to their platform, you can stake it. Now they have Cardano, Solana, and other blue chip projects that you can come on their platform and stake. But predominantly, it's for Ethereum. We have Maker. Maker is the issuer of the one and only decentralized token called DAI. Aave is one of my favorites. There are a lending platform and a staking platform as well. Uniswap, we are all very familiar with, and so on and so forth. To come to the point, let's just use two of them. And one of the most famous one is Uniswap. So everybody knows Uniswap. So let's take Uniswap, for example. The point here is to not bash any projects, but just to make a point about inflation. Okay, so if we zoom out and we look at Uniswap, you see how the token has been extremely inflationary. And if you look at the long term, since its inception, since its all-time high in 2021, end of 2021, it's down 85%, almost 86%. And this is, keep in mind, this is the largest decentralized exchange right now. It's the largest decentralized exchange. And it's the most used on Ethereum right now. And it has a chart looking like this. And this is because you can stake their tokens as well. Of course, they give you as incentive, they give you their token if you stake it. And because they keep minting, they have a max supply. However, they're inflationary. So they keep minting more and more and giving you their own token as staking distributions. This, of course, is one of the crises, the second crisis, inflation. And they're not the only ones. I'll show you 2-3 other ones just to make a point, but keep this graph in mind. It will look exactly the same. And why does it look like this? It's because the more people stake, they get Uniswap tokens. And of course, when they get Uniswap tokens and they want to redeem them, they have to sell them on the market. And this will cause inflation. And inflation causes the price to dump and to lose value over time. As we know, we're familiar with that with our fiat system. It loses purchasing power over time. And due to the excessive printing through every business cycles every 4 years, this causes inflation. So this is one of the most used, actually it's the most used decentralized exchange on Ethereum blockchain, and you see how inflation causes the token price to really decrease and lose its value over time. Now, if we look at another one, for example, Aave. Aave is the third most used, and based on total value locked and market cap, it's the third largest one. So if we look at this, it's a lending platform, most used one, Aave. Same thing. Keep in mind this graph. So not to be confused that we are looking at the same graph. If we come here and look at Aave and we zoom out, doesn't this chart look identical? You would think we're still looking at Uniswaps. However, this just paints the picture. Inflation kills tokens. Inflation is horrible, especially if you have a staking platform and you're issuing your native tokens as distributions, and you don't have a banning mechanism. You are not deflationary or scarce. This is what happens. So this is the second plague, and unfortunately, many more. We can look at Curve, also same thing. Curve is also a very highly used liquidity and staking platform that you can use, and this looks even horrible because they focus heavily on staking and they give you their native tokens as staking distributions. Keep in mind, this is not a meme coin or some sort of a scam token. This is one of the most used tokens in the space. It's actually the number 11, and it has right now close to 2 billion in US dollars locked under asset management, and it's one of the most favored staking platforms on Ethereum. So it's in the top 11, and you'll see what inflation does. This is just to show you what inflation does. And since its highest in 2021, it has lost close to 99% of its value. This is strictly because inflation. You can't have a staking platform and issue out your native token, because this will cause your chart to look like this. It's been in the red for years now, and as you see, and it will still keep going further down. This takes us now, I hope this made the point. This just to paint a picture and just to show you how inflation has been just eating up and breaking tokens. And if your token is not deflationary, at least deflationary, let alone scarce, this is what your chart will look like for many, many years, even if you are the number 11 most used application on the Ethereum blockchain and the the one with so much use case and utilities. So this is what you want to avoid. This is what inflation does to a blue chip token. Now, I hope this now made a picture. You get the point. So the first one was liquidity. We looked at an example with Bitcoin. Now this was based on inflation. This is the second crisis, inflation. Now let's get to the final crisis. We'll use the same tokens. And now the third crisis is inefficiency. How inefficient are these tokens based on the volume that they're having? Let's go back to Uniswap. We'll use the same projects. So how inefficient? Let me explain what I mean with inefficient. Daily volume of Uniswap right now, today, is 134, close to 135 million, just in 24 hours alone. So they have a massive volume. And with inefficient, I mean, where does this volume go? What does it do to the token, to the project? What does it give back to the Uniswap community? It's not efficient. So this volume is wasted. It's not used efficiently. That's what we mean when we talk about efficiency. So first issue is liquidity. That's the first crisis. Second crisis is inflation. And third crisis is the inefficiency, that the market is not using the high trading volume that they have. And this is on a daily basis. So look how inefficient Uniswap is, having 135 million in trading volume on a daily basis. And let's move on and look at Aave. We look at the same projects that we just looked at earlier. And you see the same thing. Aave has 178 million in volume, and it should be criminal for a project to have such high volume, and the chart looks like this. This, however, just shows you how inefficient and how weak the fundamentals, the tokenomics are of the token. So this is not to shame Aave. I love Aave. I'm a user of Aave. This is just to point out the crisis that we face in the industry. We are zoomed out right now, and we're looking at the big picture. We're looking at the challenges, the crisis that we're facing in the industry to make a point. So you see, this is what happens if you don't use your volume efficiently to really maximize the volume, and that will, in a way that it will benefit the community. It will benefit the Aave community, benefit the token, and benefit the community, the token holders themselves. So inefficiency we saw in Uniswap and Aave. Let's look at the final one before we move on. And the final one was Curve. Let's look at Curve. Curve is 99 million, so close to 100 million as well. So they have 100 million, close to 100 million in volume, daily volume, and the chart looks like this. So inefficiency is another crisis. These projects, these ecosystems, these tokens are not built for a bull run, because if you look like this and you're having 100 million in volume at the time where you actually up 5%, this is not a good sign. So let's summarize this. The three major crises in the industry, in the crypto space right now, are liquidity crisis, second is inflation crisis, and then inefficiency of the trading volume of these tokens. And if you're facing these three crises, obviously you're not sustainable. This is why you look at the charts and they look like this. It's just not sustainable. You can't have this massive volume and not take advantage of it. And you can't be inflationary like this, and you can't be lacking liquidity like we saw with Bitcoin. So this is the issue right now that we're facing in the industry. So always keep this in mind. These are the three crises that we're facing: liquidity crisis, inflationary crisis, and inefficiency of the trading volume. This causes unsustainability and in the market. Now that we've zoomed out and we've looked at all this, and I hope this made sense and you are following along, let's zoom in for a moment and let's look at our ecosystem. And if we look at our ecosystem, and I'd like us to use the same measures that we just used. Keep in mind liquidity, inflationary, and not using the volume, inefficiency of the volume. So what are we doing different now? What's the solution? Now we looked at the problem, we looked at the challenge, we looked at the crisis. Now let's look at the solutions. First of all, before we get to the solutions, our ecosystem, the Bullrun ecosystem, was developed based on analyzing challenges within the space, obviously. We looked at different tokens, different projects, and wanted to ensure that we don't do the same mistakes and we can improve upon these existing projects. So based on that, we looked at, of course, the three crises that we just discussed, but we also went a step ahead and looked at the top 5 cryptocurrencies. So we looked at, obviously, Bitcoin. We took the strengths of it. We had a very low supply, limited supply, and also wanted to be more of a commodity, a store of value. And then we looked at Ethereum. Ethereum is great because the more you use Ethereum, as we see, the more Ethereum is being used, the more tokens it bans. And unfortunately right now, because Ethereum is not being used as much, it's issuing more tokens, 869,000, than it's burning, 804,000. So this is why you see this graph being above this line right here. This means that right now, currently, Ethereum is also inflationary. It's issuing more tokens than it's burning. However, the way the ecosystem works, the more the platform is being used, the more deflationary it becomes. The more it's not used, the more inflationary it becomes. So this is what we took out of Ethereum. We wanted to build a platform, to develop a platform that the more it's used, the more scarce it becomes. Obviously, Binance, we looked at Binance as well because it's the most staked token and in the space, and we'll look at these things in more detail. And then we looked at the stable coins as well. We're not only paired with a stable coin, but we also issue stable coin as distributions as well. And we're also aiming to be as liquid as stable coins. So if you ask which one would you pick out of the 5, it's hard to pick any of the 5. What if we tell you we built something that encompasses all 5 elements, all 5 benefits that we just looked at right now, out of all 5 of them? And with 5, you might, Steve, there's only 4. There's Tether and USDC. That's how we looked at it. So basically the top 4 cryptocurrencies, we took their strengths and built something that encompasses all 5 of their benefits, of their futures, of their strengths. So this is how we came about developing this token. So it's more than just a token. It's built around an ecosystem that addresses crisis within the industry and also based on the strengths of our top leading cryptocurrencies in the space. With that said, let's address those 3 crises. Let's see what solutions do we have for them. So how we address the first liquidity issue is we have 3 ways to retain liquidity within our ecosystem. The first one is the most obvious one, through taxes, 6% on the buy and sell side. And this is how we retain it. Half of the 6%, which is 3%, go towards retaining liquidity. This, like we identified, is very important. It's vital, and it brings stability into the ecosystem, to the token, and it also addresses the issue that the regulators were identified. This is medium of exchange. To be a medium of exchange, you need to meet certain criteria. And one of the criteria to meet those criteria is you need deep liquidity, because deep liquidity brings stability. But that's not enough. You need to be deflationary as well. So combining deep liquidity with deflation, this is a great combination. And it helps the token or the ecosystem to build deep liquidity with it. It brings stability to it, and it meets the requirements of being considered a medium of exchange. So you are scarce, you're deflationary, and you are retaining liquidity. These 2 combined brings stability. So this is how we're addressing that. The first challenge is liquidity crisis. So we're combining retaining liquidity with binding tokens, bringing scarcity into the space, and this is how you address the liquidity issue. And also by not issuing our native tokens, but issuing USDC distributions, this is another aspect that maintains the token to become or be more deflationary. So as we saw, these are the issues, but deflation, we'll talk about it later. First things, liquidity. This is how we retain it. The obvious one with buy and sell, 3% go to retain liquidity. Another thing is through our staking platform. We have dual staking platform. You can stake your BRL tokens, or you can also stake these NFTs. These NFTs, you can stake up to 5 of them, and they can boost your BRL, your USDC distributions up to 100%. And the revenue generated from these NFTs also go towards the liquidity. So this helps the liquidity to be healthy, and it brings stability to the ecosystem. And the third way that we add liquidity is through the 10% reserve that we are staking. We are staking 10% of BRL of the total supply, and they're earning USDC distributions as well, of course. And based on that, we also use the USDC distributions from there and also add it to the liquidity. What we do, we purchase more BRL from the open market and then stake it even more. So this is how we add liquidity while also assisting with deflationary aspects as well. This is how we handle liquidity crisis. Second crisis, like we saw, is inflation. Inflation, the way we address that is, first of all, have a low total supply. We started with 1 million in total supply. And then once we did that, we have our bounding mechanism that removes 1% from the total distributions. And the way where we are right now with that is currently we are down to 973,000 tokens remaining out, starting with 1 million. So keep in mind, scarcity is key. Scarcity is what you want. In the long run, like we saw, we went into details and discussed Aave, Uniswap, and Curve. We saw how in the long run, the charts have been looking like this because the inflation and they don't have binding mechanisms and they are not scarce. So if that's the issue situation, and on top of that, they have a staking platform that issues their native tokens, this is what happens. So to avoid having a chart like this, we had to implement these mechanisms by having by adding scarcity into our tokenomics. And this is why we started at 1 million in total supply. And as I showed you here, we are now down to 973. This number keeps shrinking with every buy and sell. At the beginning of this session, we identified something. We said that the Bitcoin halving is such a big event. It's so big that it causes Bitcoin to trigger the bull run. And what usually happens is because the supply is because Bitcoin is inflationary. And if the inflation is cut in half, this has a positive effect on the market. If the demand remains the same, it causes a price squeeze and it causes Bitcoin price to explode. Now, we don't have to wait. Keep in mind, this happens every 4 years. But with our mechanism, we don't have to wait 4 years. Actually, it's with every trade. Every time there is a buy and a sell, we experience what Bitcoin experiences once in 4 years. So we are extremely deflationary, as we saw. We are very, very scarce. We're not just deflationary, but we are scarce, meaning instead of adding to the million on top of it, we're actually reducing. We are less than 1 million now. We just started with 1 million. Now we're below 1 million. And this number keeps decreasing. And this addresses now the store of value aspect of it. A store of value needs to be scarce. It needs to be deflationary. And it needs to also retain liquidity, because a store of value has to have enough liquidity so that your value can remove that value whenever you're ready to remove it. There is no point of having or calling something a store of value and it has a 0.1 liquidity to market cap ratio. How is that a store of value if you can't exit your position if you want to, especially if you have like 100 million and above and you want to exit a position and you only have not enough liquidity. So this is a challenge. So this is the point of it. You need to have enough liquidity and you need to be scarce, have scarcity within your tokenomics, within your ecosystem to address that. And also, because we have a staking platform, we're not issuing our native tokens. We are issuing USDC distributions. And because of that, it avoids, because else, Curve is known for its staking rewards. And they also have locking requirements. You can lock up your tokens up to 4 years. And the longer you lock, the higher your distributions you get. But we don't do it like that. We do it like we showed you with our NFTs. And you can stake and unstake anytime. There's no time limits. There's no locking period. So we don't have all that. And if you issuing your own tokens as staking distributions, and your use case is basically just staking and you're adding liquidity rewards, this is what your chart looks like. So this is something that you really want to avoid. And to avoid that, we ensure that we have a very deflationary and scarce mechanism in place. We don't issue out our native tokens. We give out USDC as distributions, and we retain liquidity at the same time to bring that stability into the space. And also, liquidity brings trust and brings confidence to any investor, because they know that anytime they want, they can remove their tokens and they can take them with them. Now, with that said, let's address the final challenge, which is uh, which is inefficiency, inefficiency of volume. And this is very important. And this is something that I want to close out with. So hold on, hold that thought. The final crisis, I want to close out the final crisis with that. We'll do that and we'll calculate, we'll do some calculations. Keep that in mind. Inefficiency. So now I want us to move on to because we do more. This is just the fundamentals. We just discussed the tokenomics of Bullrun. We are more than that. This is just our foundation, our tokenomics. Now we have 4 pillars within our ecosystem. The first one we just discussed, it's liquidity. Liquidity encompassed addressing all the crises that we just discussed, those 3 crises within the crypto space. Now we do more than just that. That's just our fundamentals. Now, another thing is education, and then we have security, and then we have social network. So before we close out with the 3rd crisis, which is inefficiency, we want to address education, security, and social network. So let's go ahead and start with that. First thing is education. So education is our second pillar. After liquidity, we focus heavily on education, and then security and social network. Don't worry, we'll go through all those 3 step by step. Let's start with the educational part. As we discussed at the beginning, education is key. Education is power. Any ecosystem is supposed to have educational sessions. We have 3 weekly sessions. We educate in our community. These are events. Every Monday, we are on Twitter Space, the same time as today, 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Every Thursday, we are on YouTube live stream like today. And then every Saturday, we are on Telegram on The Voice. We have a VC on Saturday. So education plays a major role to us. It's very important to us. And we understand that that's the only way we can really bring crypto mainstream. And this is why we lay emphasis on being consistent and educating not only about our tokens and our ecosystem, but especially focusing on zooming out and looking at the industry as a whole. Because only then, once we zoom back in, you will understand and appreciate what kind of an ecosystem we have and what sets us apart as a community and as an ecosystem. So education is our second pillar after liquidity and addressing these 3 challenges and 3 crises that we just looked at for the last hour now. And education plays a major role to us. We have many new community members that enter the space. So please, all of you, ensure we are very, very active on Twitter or X, however you want to call it. So I advise you, or I encourage you to follow us on our Twitter platforms. We have different, of course, you can follow us on our main account, but I'll also discuss our 2 other tokens as well when we discuss the topic of security. So with that said, I encourage you to follow us on our social accounts as well. And I'll also discuss our other tokens that we have. And actually, let's bridge right over to our other tokens. To bridge to our other tokens, this brings us to our 3rd pillar, and that is security. Okay. Why do we lay so much emphasis on security? It's because last year alone, crypto users lost over 2 billion due to hacks and scams and exploits. 2 billion is a large amount, and it's a shame. In 2022, it was 4.2 billion. Of course, that was due to the 40 billion lost through the collapse of Terra, Celsius, and FTX, among many, many more. How are these 2 billion distributed? They were based on scams, rug pulls, and hacks. With security, what we want to really emphasize is that we want to shield our community to not have to be part of this, because we work hard for our fiat currencies. And when we get into crypto, it already has a bad reputation. People are already scared and are questioning the crypto industry in the first place because it's a wild place. There's still no regulations. So for us to avoid our community from losing 2 billion worth due to scams and rug pulls, this is why we decided to be developing our own community tokens. Community tokens are vital. Community tokens are the heartbeat of any project. And this is why it's very important. And most importantly, because we have an existing community, existing ecosystem, it's easier for us to develop our own because we already have a trusted community, and we can be there's only two ways to really succeed in the space: be in the right community, in a vibrant and active community, and secondly, get in early in these projects. And this is what we offer our members, our community members. And this is why we decided to develop our own tokens. We don't want to expose our community to all these scams and rug pulls and hacks. So we don't need all that. So with that said, also, of course, security plays a major role. Our smart contracts have been audited. As you see, we have audit reports here. All three have been audited and passed very well. So we cover the security aspect of it as well. With that said, now that we've covered the security aspect, let's look at our tokens. I'd like to present our tokens. The reason why we're focusing on launching our own community tokens. First of all, to address something, to be successful in this space, you need to be original, and you need to go above and beyond. You need to do some things differently. You have to go against the stream, because there's already 100,000 different tokens, different currencies. So what will set you apart if you always just copy paste and do the same thing that everybody else does? What point am I making? If we go to CoinMarketCap right now, and I'm just making an example. Let's put in Inu right now. If you just look for Inu right now, right away, you see all kinds of dogs, you see chickens, you see cats, you see frogs, you see all of that, right? There's thousands of tokens, tens of thousands of different ones, okay? But what sets us apart is there's only one cryptocurrency, one token on the blockchain that is dedicated to women, period. There's just one. You don't have to go through thousands, 10,000s of cats and dogs and frogs tokens to make your pick, but you only have one woman token dedicated to the queens in this industry. And this is what sets us apart: to be original, to be the trendsetter, and to be the one that sets the pace. And beyond that, it has a great narrative, and it gives the queens in this space a platform where they can be they can be among themselves. They can share their experiences. They can inform, educate, inspire each other. And this is something very unique. We are the first in the space to have a token dedicated to women, to empower them, to give them a voice, and to give them a home. Beyond that, let's look at the security and tokenomic features of this amazing project. It's, first of all, 100% of the total supply is in the liquidity pool. Why is that? Because this right here, what we saw. Let's look at the chart again. Because inflation does this to your chart. So because they keep minting new tokens out of thin air and dumping them into the market, into the liquidity pool, this happens to your chart. To avoid all that, we placed 100%, all of it, all the tokens in the liquidity pool from day one. So the only thing that can happen from now is this effect right now. We are very deflationary. You see the largest token, the largest wallet, the number 2 wallet, just behind the liquidity wallet is the Burn wallet. 1% of every trade goes to this wallet, and this wallet is blacklisted, meaning no one has access to it whatsoever. And already close to 6% of the total supply has been burned forever, removed from the circulating supply. This makes Survivor an extremely deflationary token, avoiding the chart to look anything close to this. And another thing is it's been locked for 100 years. The liquidity is locked for 100 years. And this brings assurance to the community. It brings trust to the community as well. To add to that is the contract has been renounced. This, of course, makes the contract community-driven, decentralized, and transparent. Back to the 100% of the total supply placed in the liquidity pool, there were no team tokens, no pre-sales, no ICOs, none of that. So this token is completely community-driven and decentralized, and it has the great narrative, and it's one of its kind. It's dedicated to the queens in this space. And let me emphasize, of course, men and the kings can also support this movement. It's not, you can purchase the token as well. You can support the movement, because without the queens, no man on this earth would have been here right now. We all have mothers, aunts, cousins, wives, sisters that we appreciate and that we would like to support. And it's important to be original and to offer queens and in this space, the women, a platform where they can have their voices heard and they can be among themselves. So this is originality that is captured with security and strong fundamentals, strong tokenomics. This is very, very important in a topic, in a token. These are the type of projects that will be very sought after during right now during this bull run as we are starting, because the contracts being renounced, like I said, it has a clean contract has been renounced, like you see here. The liquidity pool has been locked for 99.75, almost 100 years basically. And as you see here as well, it's extremely deflationary. The second largest wallet is the dead wallet, that accumulates the banned wallets. The banned tokens that are forever taken from circulating supply. It's a deflationary token with a great narrative. It's a unique token, not one of 10,000s, but it's one of its kind. There is no other. So it has zero competition. It's the first and only token dedicated to women on the Ethereum blockchain. This alone sets it apart and gives its originality. So women that will be looking to invest or be part of a movement, guess where they'll come first? To Survivor, because it's the first and only cryptocurrency that is dedicated to the queens, to the Bullrun women's in this space. So this is our latest and youngest crypto project right now. Similar is we have our killer whale token. Now, this token is strictly dedicated, like the name suggests, to the whales. Killer whale or orcas are predators, and they are on the top of the food chain. And we wanted to really dedicate a token to specifically to whales, because often we want to build communities around whales, and this is very important that we have a dedicated token to that. So these tokens have very low market cap, as you can see. Their market caps is at this one is at 73,000, extremely low. If we look at Survivor's market cap, it's also at 349, close to 350, extremely low. And these are the type of projects you want. Survivor has a very active community. They have over 1,700 on Telegram, over 1,000 on WhatsApp, and they have a community where they're holding Google Meets, they're holding Zoom meetings where they educate and help newcomers how to open wallets, how to trade Ethereum, how to get Ethereum from centralized exchanges, and so on and so forth. So these are things that you don't get in any community. These are very unique extras that you get for just being part of this movement. It has the movement, it has the narrative, it has the tokenomics, the deflationary aspects of it, and it has an amazing community behind it. So these are the type of tokens that you really want to pay attention to, especially as we're entering the space, the bull run phase. Like we said, all these catalysts that are approaching with volume and liquidity, you need tokenomics, strong tokenomics with strong foundations such as these that will cause your token to be deflationary and in the long term generate or maintain a healthy liquidity. With that said, another one, of course, is also Killer Whale. Killer Whale has similar tokenomics. I have to say, let's go to the tokenomics. It also has a 1% tax. The contract is also renounced. Liquidity is locked for 100 years, and 100% of the total supply is in the liquidity pool as well. So that means the one or team tokens, pre-sale, initial coin offerings, none of all that. And this also makes the token, the project, be community driven, decentralized, and completely transparent. This is the blacklisted tax wallet, 723 at the end. If we go to Etherscan and look up 723, we see that it's at number 7 right now. Close to 3.6% has been burnt of the tokens. This is our lowest low cap project right now that we have. And these are the type of projects you want to really look at, do your own research, and inform yourself about these. Again, like I said here, I want to point out we are very, very active, a very active community. We are having 366 followers on Twitter. We are extremely active on Twitter. So ensure that you follow us on Twitter as well. It's survivor_WS. And make sure that if you want to be part of the movement, be part of it. If you want to be part of something original, that it's one of its kind and unique, be part of it. Because there's not thousands of Survivor. There's just one of it. Because it's the first and only project and token dedicated to the queens in this space from all sorts of backgrounds and geographic regions. So this is very unique. Similar, of course, is our Killer Whale as well. Very active on Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter as well. Killer Whale, KLW. So be part of this movement as well. It's an exclusive whales club within our ecosystem that you can be part of from the very beginning when the market cap is still very low. Like I say, we are very active on social media. So the reason why we avoid back to this, our third pillar, besides liquidity and education, is security. To avoid all this scams through, like we read here, through scams and rug pulls and hacks, we decided to develop our own community tokens, and that is Killer Whale and Survivor. And they all are very unique in the space. There is not second Survivor, second Killer Whale. They're all unique projects, and they have a great narrative, great community behind it, and they're still low market caps to really consider and look into. No financial advice, do your own research as always. And our fourth pillar is social network. Social network. Now, to where is it? To look at social network, bear with me. Okay, social network. What do I mean with social network? To really bring it to attention and to make a point, I really want you to understand what I mean with social network. Right now, I know somewhere in this world, it's night. So let's say you just watched your last episode on Netflix. Now before you went to bed, you went to the bathroom, you brushed your teeth, you went to bed, you slept, you woke up, and your phone woke you up with your alarm. Either it's an iPhone or a Samsung phone, whatever. And then you wake up, do the same thing, go to the bathroom, take a shower, get ready, get into your car, and go to work. Now, all these companies we mentioned, from Netflix to when you go to the bathroom using Colgate or toothbrush, and your cars, your phones, all of these products and brands are owned by BlackRock. I want to make a point right now. And BlackRock has this software called Aladdin. And Aladdin is used by those large institutions, like I just said. Apple, Microsoft, Google, which is mother company's Alphabet. And this software is collecting your data. They know how many steps you take. They know where your workplace is. They know what you had for lunch, dinner. They know what series that you watched. They know everything about you. So they're gathering all this data from you willingly. And then they do a customized advertisement, customized ads for you, so that you can really get in tune with it. So they can get you. So they're monetizing your activities through the daily products that you use on a daily basis. So it's unassuming. You don't even realize it. You just go about your daily business, not knowing that you're using the same products that are using this powerful software. So this is what I mean when I say social network. They're monetizing you while you're going through your daily basis. So the social network I'm talking about is not this. The social network we are talking about is a community social network. The ones that we are building right now currently. Every one of you right now that is part of this live stream right now, that is watching, we have content creators, we have artists, we have social media influencers, we have community leaders, we have all sorts of people with different backgrounds. And this is what I mean with social network. We need to build a social network where we are not being exploited and monetized by these large institutions, and the beneficiaries are the shareholders. This is just one example, because BlackRock owns majority shares of all of them. If I really need to go down, I'm talking about, of course, Facebook, Instagram, TikToks, all these social platforms where we freely, LinkedIn's for business people, and WhatsApp, Telegram, and where we give our informations, email addresses, and all this stuff. So this is to get to the nitty-gritty. But the big umbrella, of course, is this major, strong, powerful software that is being used to collect and understand how you think, how you operate, what's your favorite food, what are your favorite places you go. And all this is used and bought by these large institutions. So they have a database of you. They can target you specifically and monetize you. So why not build our own social network where we are not the exploits, but we can actually leverage our talents together and be part of a vibrant community such as this, and be part of our own tokens that we want to. So instead of being monetized and being taken advantage of, we have the opportunity to be part of such vibrant opportunities early on. We have our own in-house content creators. We have our own in-house social media influencers, and we have artists within ourselves. We have strong characters, strong personalities within our ecosystem that are strong leaders within our ecosystem. This is what I mean with social. We need to build this social network. It's not easy to build one, but you only have to build it once. And we can monetize ourselves by using our talents and networks to uplift our projects on social media, social platforms. And this is what we're doing right now. So all of you that are here right now and are active on Twitter right now, retweeting, doing what they need to do, showing up on these community events, being active, you are part already of this social network that we are talking about. And this is what we want to build. We want to build an ecosystem with strong individuals that are informed, that are educated and inspired, that have the same mindset and want to really make a difference in this space. It's one thing to just be within the industry, but it's another to be pioneers and to do things differently. This is very important. And this brings me to another point. The importance of community can't be stressed enough. I'm not endorsing this project. It's just to make a point. It's community tokens that really get things done. The only problem here is that, and we'll get to that. Let's highlight the strengths first. The strength of communities are, imagine such a community. It caused a surge in Ethereum gas price because the demand for the token was so high. And how high was it? The trading volume hit on Uniswap, topped 150 million. We just looked at blue chip projects right now, right? Remember when we went through these projects? We looked at them, 135 million. So at some day, a community token out of nowhere with zero use case was having a higher daily volume than Uniswap right now. Uniswap sits at 135 million. We just saw here that this community token was doing 150 million on a decentralized exchange, not on Binance, not on Coinbase, none of that. On a decentralized exchange, doing 150 million within 24 hours. And this was outpacing, of course, WBTC, which wrapped Bitcoin, and USDC stablecoins. So the top two cryptocurrencies. This is major. What's the point I'm making here? Because the high demand, Bitcoin, Ethereum also banned a lot of Ethereum. Like we saw, Ethereum, the more activity on the Ethereum network, the more deflationary it gets. You see how now it's inflationary? If we go back to last year, beginning of the year, you see basically May, if we go here, you see how starting May, this is when these community tokens on Ethereum started popping up, and it cost the network. See how it went down and down and down because the usage of community tokens. So these are the strengths of it. It caused a lot of bounce on the Ethereum network. It had a lot of volume on the Ethereum network. However, there were not use cases, and most importantly, it didn't have any liquidity. So this transitions us now to where I wanted us to go. I didn't forget. I told you we will close out with the last and final one, and that is efficiency, because this makes the point. So what's the point of having such high volume if you don't retain any of it? If you don't use it, you are inefficient with your volume. So this brings us to the closing of this. We're getting to the close now. I want us to close out this session with inefficiency of such high trading volumes, because communities have been doing their part, but it's been the platform, the ecosystem, that has been letting the communities down. They didn't take advantage of such high volumes. They did not. So with that said, let's close out and make a point here. Let's summarize. The topic today is crisis gives birth to a solution. So I hope by now you understood that our ecosystem was built by design, was built deliberately with intentions to develop something that has not been done before, something that addresses the key major challenges in the space. We looked at them individually. That was crisis, liquidity crisis, inflationary crisis, and now the third one we're about to talk about it's the inefficiency of volume. We're about to look at it right now. So we started looking at it, looking at those top community tokens, blue chip tokens that we talked about. We looked at Uniswap, what was it? 135 million. We looked at, what else do we have? We looked at Aave, was at 175 million in volume. And then finally, we looked at Curve, which had close to 100 million. Now it's at 97 million on a daily basis. So this is the topic now, and this is how we want to close this out. And to really make a point, because this needs to really sink in, we need to understand what's going on and how efficient our ecosystem is and how efficient our tokenomics are. I'd like us to use the volume of one of these tokens and then do calculations and see and simulate what would happen if they had our tokenomics. That's the best way to really look at efficiency in volume. And because this is our largest token, our most famous token, and everybody's so crazy about it, let's see what Bitcoin would be like if it had our tokenomics, our ecosystem's tokenomics. Okay, so let's pull up the calculator and look at this. First of all, let's look at the volume. Okay, 18.6 billion in volume. That's a lot. We want to keep it simple. Let's just say let's do the math with 1 billion. Just keep it simple, 1 billion. And if Bitcoin had our tokenomics and was deflationary, scarce, and you could stake it and it gives you distributions in USDC, let's look at it to just make a point. What would we have? Because they don't have what we have as far as strong fundamentals and tokenomics, and we don't have what they have as far as the high volume and the global acceptance and adaptation. So now let's do some math here, just for the sake of it. We are using 1 billion. And to do that, let's go to our tokenomics, okay? We have a 6% buy and sell. Let's start with how much would be banned if we had that billion in volume, okay? Let's do the math. We multiply by 1%. So we're working with 10 million right now. If we had 1 billion in volume right now, we would be having 10 million that goes towards bonds. So every single day, every 24 hours, 1% of 1 billion is 10 million. This would go towards banning tokens. Like we saw, we're already down to 973,000 BRL tokens, for example. So this number will keep decreasing even more. So $10 million worth of BRL tokens would be purchased will be banned permanently from the total supply. That's the first step. And another thing is, let's see to liquidity. Let's go to liquidity. So we have to, because it's 3%, we have to multiply by 3, right? But before we go to liquidity, let's look at the USDC distributions. So that for those who are staking, that's another 10 million. So 10 million worth of USDC for you that decide to stake would be able to, you will be getting 10 million worth of USDC as staking distributions on a daily basis. Keep in mind, what we're talking about right now is the inefficiency of these high volumes. All these projects, they're having these high volumes. And even the best example, the last example we looked at, this community token had a volume of 150 million in just 24 hours. But what does it do to them? How they're not retaining liquidity, they're not banning tokens, and especially like we are calculating right now, they're not giving back to the community. So 10 million worth of staking distributions will be waiting for you on a daily basis. Keep that in mind. And now let's look at how much liquidity we'll be generating or adding on a daily basis. So 30 million, because it's 3 times 10 million, that's 30 million worth of liquidity on a daily basis will be added to the liquidity pool. So you see the difference. And to be fair, let's do the math here. Let's calculate the liquidity to market cap ratio here as well. So you see that with $1 billion in volume, 30 million would go to liquidity on a daily basis. 10 million each will go towards banning and permanently removing BRL tokens from total supply. And 10 million would go towards USDC distributions for those who decide to stake BRL, for example. Same thing, same 10 million would happen the same thing with Killer Whale. So 10 million worth of Killer Whale would be banned forever, and it will cause a lot of deflation, and it will build up the liquidity pool, because each time 10 million worth of tokens, of Killer Whale tokens, will be removed from the from the liquidity pool. And because we started with 100% of total supply in the liquidity pool, this type of volume will bring so much liquidity and will cause the killer whale token, of course, the same mechanisms for the survivor token also, same effect. That 1% will completely add so much liquidity into the pool while removing and causing deflation to the token as well. So while adding liquidity, many more tokens will be removed also at the same time. This is the type of projects you want to be part of, that are deflationary and are accumulating liquidity. So this is what would happen if we had such volume. This is what we mean with inefficiency of volume. And this is what's been killing all these projects that have been hyped and reached double digits or like billions in market cap, and had daily volumes of 150 million. However, at the end of the day, they didn't have any liquidity or any sustainable use cases and caused the projects to die out slowly. And to summarize, we deliberately built an ecosystem that is based on the three crises that we just discussed: liquidity crisis, inflation crisis, and inefficiency of the high volumes that these tokens are trading with. And also based on the top 4 cryptocurrencies, like we said. We looked at Bitcoin, Ethereum, the stablecoin, and Binance. And if we look at, only to be fair, if we look at Bullrun, for example, its largest number 1 wallet is staking wallet. So 56% of the total supply is staked. And it's decreasing in total supply also at the same time. If we look at Survivor, its number 2 wallet, which is the largest wallet, is a ban wallet as well. Same with Killer Whale. So we have 3 extremely deflationary tokens, which are original and one of their kind, with vibrant communities behind them. Community, this is the message for today. I wanted us to really understand what our ecosystem is all about. We discussed our 4 pillars. We started with liquidity, and the liquidity encompasses the 3 major issues, the crisis that we're facing in the space: liquidity crisis, inflationary crisis, and inefficiency of trading volume. Those 3 lacking, and you face unsustainability. And if you're unsustainable, your chart looks like that, because you're not taking advantage of all the volume that you're having. We just calculated how our volume numbers would look like, how much we'll be banning, how much we'll be giving for staking distributions, and especially how much liquidity we'll be retaining. 30 million worth of liquidity. That means every day there could be 30 million worth of sales going on, and it will be completely fine. People will be there. There's enough liquidity for everyone. And this is why we developed a platform where eventually we will be able to have a 1-to-1 liquidity to market cap ratio. And like I said, we wanted to do the math, by the way. Let's see where it is right now. But eventually we will achieve, based on our tokenomics and fundamentals, we will achieve a 1-to-1 liquidity to market cap ratio eventually, because the way our ecosystem and mechanisms are built. If we multiply this by 100, we are at a 65% right now. So our liquidity to market cap ratio is 65 compared to the 0.1 that we saw with Bitcoin. This is due to the mechanisms we have in place. We're retaining liquidity, we are banning tokens, and we're giving back distributions as USDC. Same thing for our other 2 tokens. We are very deflationary as well. As you see, we have a banning wallet. We have all the tokens in the liquidity pool. There's no initial coin offerings, no whitelists, no pre-sales. These tokens are renounced. Their liquidity is locked, and they are 100% community driven. So this is the type of tokens that we have within our ecosystem. And this is what we are all about. We're all about those 4 pillars: liquidity, education, security, and building a social network. This is what we're all about. And this is what sets us apart in this industry, because we are addressing 4 key elements that are vital in this industry. We are bigger than just being a token. We are an entire ecosystem that is addressing major issues, major concerns, major crises. But those crises birth solution. This is the topic of today. These crises gives birth to solutions, and we have those solutions within our ecosystem. And in this session today, we wanted to highlight that, to really emphasize on what we are all about, zoom out and talk about the crisis, zoom back in and just highlight how we went about finding solutions for these crises, and what our ecosystem is all about. It's all about informing, educating, and offering own community tokens where you don't have to be scammed, rug pulled, or hacked. And this is the things that we want to focus on and look forward to. So community, this is it on our side for today. It was a lot of information. So I'll take it upon myself to make smaller videos with these different topics that is more or better digestible. But at least we have now a reference point where if we want to listen to the entire ecosystem in one place, this is the video for it. This is important to understand, community, what we have and how our ecosystem works. It is all volume driven, and the inefficiency of the market, I hope you understand how inefficient this market is. You can't have 135 million in volume and your chart looks like this. You need to take advantage of the high volume. And now the question that we asked at the beginning, is your ecosystem ready? Is it built to take advantage of these catalysts? With Bitcoin halving, with the interest rates cuts, with the election year this year, which according to Forbes is the largest in history, or will be the largest in history, with the ETFs just about to be approved, and Goldman Sachs also wants to join the game, and with Larry Fink's BlackRock wanting to tokenize asset classes, industries wanting to join the forces, there'll be a lot of volume and liquidity coming into the space. And we need to take advantage of that. And we have a platform that will take advantage of that. It's built to take advantage of that. Compared to these large blue chip institutions such as Uniswap, where they're not. So tokenomics and fundamentals are key. There is no point of doing all these numbers and causing all these high gas fees and doing 150 million in a day if you can't retain liquidity, because liquidity is the bloodline. If you're not deflationary, you're not retaining liquidity, you're not scarce, and you're not incentivizing your community with distributions that are not your native tokens to deflate your price, but are stable coin, then you're really not built for this bull run that is about to come, because this will be flooded with volume and liquidity. And we can be proud of our ecosystem that we have a platform that is built for that. And we have different and unique tokens within our ecosystem. There are thousands of dogs and frogs and cats tokens out there, but there's only one women token dedicated to the queens out there. And there is only one killer whale token that is dedicated to the whales out there. Originality is key. Having a strong community and individual and getting in early on these tokens, that's the key to success, right before we hit all this volume that we are about to experience. With that said, community, that's it for us today. I want to thank you once more for participating. As I'm talking, I'm going to remove this and share my screen individual now, not the entire screen. I want to thank everybody that participated today. It's a pleasure. It was an honor to have another session with you today. We're always looking forward to these sessions, of course, and we're always very excited about these events, because it gives us the opportunity to really highlight and showcase what the industry challenges are, what the crisis we're experiencing in the industry. And then the fun part is when we zoom in and talk about how we found solutions and developed a platform that addresses all these challenges every single one of them, and how we were also developed a platform based on the top 4 cryptocurrencies in the space. So you don't have to pick one, because you have one ecosystem with all of those tokens in one place. When we talk about ecosystem, think of it, I always like to explain things in the simplest form. If you talk about ecosystem, think about, for example, Apple. Right now with Apple, you have not only your iPhone, but you might have the iPad, you might have the MacBook, you have your iPads. Also, if you want to listen to music, you're using Apple Pads as well. You have Apple TV if you want to watch your favorite series. You will see where I'm getting with this. An ecosystem is a one-stop shop where you come in, you have a platform that is deflationary, retaining liquidity, giving you distributions in the form of USDC, offering you individual and unique tokens such as our Survivor token or Killer Whale token within the ecosystem. You get the opportunity to get in early in these, and you don't have to be part of the scams, the rug pulls out there in this wild, wild west. And while we're doing all this, we are developing and building a social network of talented individuals that are willing to go above and beyond to use their talents, their skills, their networks to promote and to encourage this ecosystem. This is community driven. This is decentralized. No one is bigger than the Bullrun ecosystem. No individual is bigger than the ecosystem, because one day we'll all be gone. And this ecosystem will still be running on the blockchain. So it's bigger than all of us. This is very important to understand. We are all just part of the puzzle. Every one of us is just chipping in, giving their best to put our ecosystem on the map and to educate, inform, and inspire those that still are unaware of what gem that we have and what sets us apart in this space. With that said, I'm coming back to you to check with you to see if you have any follow-up questions, to see if you have any feedbacks. It's always a pleasure having these conversations with you, and how I like it how it is with YouTube, because I get to share the screen. You get to see visuals, and as human beings, if we can hear something and see something, we retain information much better. So this is a very important platform. I want to thank everybody of you that took their time to be part of this. Like we said, we need to be engaged. We need to participate in these events. We are at the time where we're in the middle, at the beginning of Bullrun. 2024 is the year of the catalysts. All catalysts are coming into one place at the same time. Is your platform ready to retain the liquidity, use the volume that is about to enter the space? That question should be with a confident yes if you're part of the Bullrun ecosystem, but you will have a hard time finding that elsewhere. And we say that as humble as we can. This is what sets us apart, community, and this is something we can honestly be proud of. Let's get back to you, community, and see what you have here for us. Absolutely. Let's always be engaged, community. Let's make sure that we push this video, that it reaches as many people as possible, because the two platforms, YouTube and Twitter, these are the platforms that have the best reach for crypto enthusiasts. So we need to be extremely active on these platforms. So yes, absolutely. We have Queen Sally here. Good evening, family. Very nice to have you here with us. Thank you very much for being part of this community event. It's always a pleasure seeing you. You're always the first at any community event. You're always one of the first to comment and be part of, to comment on these tweets and all that. So I want to appreciate you as well, along with all the other queens and kings that are so active in this space as well. Mr. Bright, good day, everyone in the BRL family house. Nice to see you here also, my brother. My brother Franklin, haven't seen you in a while. Always a pleasure seeing you. My people, my family, BRL family. Thank you for being part of this session today. Queen Goleba, so interesting. Go deeper, my dev. I guess, I hope that I'm glad that you you enjoyed the session. I'm really happy that you were informed, educated, and inspired. Um, Brittany, Woohoo Bull. We have Queen Dumi here as well. Nice to see you here, Queen Dumi. Happy New Year, BRL family. Happy to be here this evening. We're happy having you here also. We have Crypto Scales saying, "Oh my, so informative. I need to watch this 3 or 4 times. Thanks for sharing." Absolutely. This is what we are all about. One of our 4 pillars, like you listened in today, is education, because we think that once we have a informed, educated, and inspired community, this is power. This will give us the confidence, and we'll avoid all the FUD or anything that misinformation that we're being fed by the social medias out there. We'll be standing on solid grounds and understand that what we have is solid. Queen Nabi, we have here. Thanks, but still new and green here. I still need to learn more. It sounds more interesting. I wish in layman's language you break it down for me. Be part of the ecosystem. Like we said, we have weekly events 3 times a week. And also on the Bullrun Women's side, on the Survivor side, we even have we're hosting Zoom meetings and Google Meets to help assist how to open wallets, how to trade, and all that. So you're at the right place. Just ensure to follow us on our social medias, join us on our Telegram, and we'll help you with that. My brother N2, is the 10% that is in the staking a multi-sig wallet? Does it automatically initiate buys? What is the contract address for the allocated amount it's staking? Great question. Right now, the staking, as you know, is on hold right now, but the 10%, because it's not an automatic. So this is something that we will manually do. We put it aside for that so that we can allocate it to the staking, or we can eventually add more use cases, more utilities down the road, such as a lending platform or things like that. So we'll be able to do that. Since it's a decentralized project, we'll be able to pick what we want to add in addition to that. But mainly it's used to add liquidity, because we want to ensure that we have the deepest liquidity in the industry, and we address that. That's our case. And another thing here, thank you for discovering a game changer, life changer. Thank you very much, my brother Franklin, as well. Yes, that's the Telegram for the Bullrun Live group if you want to join the community. And yes, this is exactly it. Yes, this is the bulldozer effect. Exactly. This distributions, this is what it does, because keep in mind, this USDC from staking distributions from USDC goes back into the market and buys Bullrun from the market, from Uniswap. And that's the difference. Many projects, what they do, they already allocated themselves tokens. They didn't have 100% allocation in the liquidity pool. So some projects give themselves tokens, and then those are the ones that they ban. So instead of taking the 10% and banning them, we decided to stake it so that it generates USDC. And now we can use the USDC to keep buying more in the market, because that's the only way you can positively affect the market in a positive way. And that's the entire purpose of bulldozer effect. So imagine doing that with the entire community, and this is how the bulldozer effect came into being. And yes, that's how it is. That's the strategy behind it, to use that as a bulldozer effect, as our largest whale in the community, doing big buys on a regular basis, producing that volume. So we don't rely on the community itself, but we have an ecosystem mechanism in place that does that and triggers that for us. And that's the whole idea. And this is a very unique mechanism that we've not seen in this industry, in this space right now. This is very unique, something that we have. Let's continue here. Queen Fortunate says, powerful community. We are outstanding in the crypto space. Absolutely. We have to. There's so many projects out here, and we need to stand out, and we are here to better the space. We're here to take on the challenge and find solutions for, and this is exactly what we did. Absolutely. Queen Goleba says Bullrun is a unique ecosystem. This is what we aim to be. We aim to be different. We aim to be unique and stand out. And this is what this ecosystem is all about. Queen Sally, thank you, Mr. Steve, for your unwavering support to the community. Much appreciated. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I want to thank you all also for being active, participating, showing up, being engaged, being proactive. You are all very much appreciated as well. Thank you very much. My great brother Glenn is hyping us, letting us to know that we should really we should go. Absolutely. Queen Mutakwa says we are really blessed as queens, and the information that we get here is so rich. Most platforms we would be paying for such information. Thank you, Mr. Steve. May God increase you. It's a pleasure having you here within the ecosystem. It's a pleasure having you here, and we have so much support from Survivor community, from the Bullrun women. Thank you all for showing up and being so consistent and always engaged, supportive. You are all very much appreciated. And yes, education can't be stressed enough. We are all about informing, educating, and inspiring on a consistent basis. This is the only way we can bring crypto or the blockchain industry mainstream. This is what will attract a lot of newcomers that don't know their way around. And we need to be that platform that embraces them, that they can feel at home, and let the Bullrun ecosystem be their first home. And under the umbrella of Bullrun ecosystem, of course, is Survivor, like we saw, and it's Killer Whale as well. And we are very diverse. Like we said, we are building a social network here of talented individuals that all have the same goal, to use their talents and skills and networks to promote and uplift our ecosystem. Queen Fortunate also is grateful. God bless you and keep you. Community, let's work and nourish our tokens growth. Absolutely. It's like I say, this is community effort. This is something that we need to do as a community. Like we said, everybody's chipping in and putting in effort. We are all community members. Like I said earlier, this is much bigger than an individual. It's bigger than us. One day, any of us won't be. Let me put it like this: the Bullrun ecosystem, including the Survivor and Killer Whale, it will outlive us. It will still be around when we are long gone. So it's bigger than us. That's the point. We need to understand that this is community driven. Every one of us needs to chip in. For us to achieve success, it takes every single one of us. So you are all very much appreciated, especially those that participated today and showed up. Absolutely. My brother Glenn had a suggestion here. We need to get live on the BRL main chat or merge the Telegram to one Telegram where we talk about the entire ecosystem. And I see Queen Fortunate supporting this, merging all tokens to one TG group. It can boom us to another level. Was thinking about it. These are excellent points that we need to bring. My brother Glenn and Queen Fortunate. This is a great topic for Saturday. So perfect. Saturday we should discuss this and we can see what we can do. But this is a great point for Saturday, that we can go further and discuss these things. These things we can talk about strategically. And here, great session as usual, Steve. We have an amazing ecosystem. Let's make the best out of it. Absolutely, it's on us now. It's all up to us now. Like we said, we looked at everything that is going on, all the things that we can anticipate, all the, how do you call it, all the catalysts that are about to come, and this is very important. I don't want to overextend this session. We're already closing in on 2 hours. So, but I want us to always keep these sessions very informative, to the point, so that those that are watching it or replaying it will really get the meats and potatoes out of it and really, get the best out of it. That suggestion, let's keep that in mind, and let's bring that up on Saturday. So please, Brother Glenn and Queen Fortunate, bring it up on Saturday, brainstorm, and let's see where, what's best. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is that we find the best solution, how we can be the most effective and make the most noise in this space. And that's the most important thing. With that said, thank you very much, Mom, for your kind words. It's always nice having you here as well. And thank you also for all your hard work and contribution. And Mr. Bongani, thank you for sharing, and I am looking forward to learn and be part of this informative community. Welcome to the community. Always a pleasure having new members joining the community. Feel right at home. You'll be educated and informed about the ecosystem, about the industry, and we have many sessions going on here as well. And my brother N2, thank you, Steve, for explaining the bulldozer in more detail. Thank you again for another educational session. You are very much appreciated. I see you out there. You're all over. Great tweets that you make out there. You're a great contribution as well, along with every single one of you that showed up today and those that will be listening later on. With that said, community, it's been a pleasure. It's been really wonderful. I hope this session today informed you, educated you, and especially inspired you. Let's be uplifted. Let's understand that we are at a time where all these catalysts are joining forces, are coming in at the same time. And we have a platform that is ready to absorb all the liquidity, retain all the volume, and take full advantage of this. Now is up to us. We heard it here. We have an amazing ecosystem. Let's make the best out of it. It's up to us now. And let's take that step. Let's be consistent. Let's be engaged. That's all we need to do to success. Like our slogan goes, success is all we know, and that's what we do. We have no other options. Let's remain persistent and consistent. Let's have the right mentality, and let's go on through life like this. Let's go through 2024 like this. Once again, thank you very much, community. You are all very much appreciated. With this, I want to wish you a wonderful rest of your week. Looking forward to Saturday, hearing from my brother Glenn and Queen Fortunate. Let's see how we can make this happen. If this is what is best for the community, why not? I'll leave it in your hands. We'll discuss it and see as a community what's best. So with that said, looking forward to our next session, which will be on Saturday on our VC, on our main Telegram account, on Bullrun account. And till then, I want to wish everybody a wonderful rest of their day, evening, night, and let's see you then.